So far, we've added one mapping to each controller input. But one of the most powerful things about building MIDI remote scripts with Control Surface Studio is the ability to add multiple mappings to each controller input and then switch between them. This is done using modes. I'll add track volume and panning to these 4 encoders. And then I'll use the modes feature to switch between the volume mappings being active and the panning mappings. So I'll add the 4 track volumes and then the 4 track pannings. Okay, we can save that and generate it into Ableton. And then reload the script. Now you can see that when I turn each encoder, it's controlling both the volume and the panning on each track. The problem is that both the volume and the panning are active at the same time. And this is because they are currently on the same mode. If I go back to Control Surface Studio, you can see that they're all on mode 0. So I'll now need to split them onto separate modes. The modes in your script can be viewed by switching from mappings to modes. Currently we have 3 modes in this script. Mode 0, this is set as the global mode, which means it's always active. Only one of these other modes can be active at a time. The first one in the list will be active when the script loads. I'll rename these. I'll name this one volume mode and this one panning mode. And then go back to the mappings and I'll set the panning controls to the panning mode. And the volume controls to the volume mode. I can filter so only the mappings which are on the panning mode are displayed. So it's only these 4. And then I can do the same for the volume mode. So now that they're both on their separate modes, I now need a way to be able to switch between the 2 modes in Ableton. I'll add a mode selector mapping to the bottom left button on the MIDI Fighter Twister. Is it button 24? And 26. And in the mode selector settings, I again want to set this to scroll. Because I'm using a button for the mode selector, I'm going to use increment, which means it will scroll starting with volume mode, it'll go to panning, volume, panning. If I add more modes in here, here we go, volume, panning, new mode mapping, then back to volume, and so on. So I'll generate that into Ableton, reload the script, and now, to begin with, the volume parameters are being controlled, and if I press the mode selector, panning mode is activated, and then panning is controlled. If I press it again, we're back to volume again. And then panning. And that will just continuously go round in a loop. And you can see which mode is activated by the status in this bottom left corner.